The alarm screamed through the halls of the celestial horizon, making Hyunwoo drop his tools. He had been working inside a gravity stabilizer, his hands covered in oil. When the red light started flashing, something was very wrong. He crawled out of the machine and grabbed his radio. Static filled his ears, then Captain Park's voice cut through. All hands battle stations. We are under attack. Pirates. Medical bay has been hit. Hyunwoo's heart jumped. The medical bay. Taeyeon worked there. He had met the tall, crystalline alien a few times. She was always polite, always busy, her skin glowing with soft blue and green lights that changed with her mood. Philothari, they called her species. Beautiful and strange. He ran toward the medical section, grabbing an emergency kit from the wall. Other crew members rushed past him, some human, some alien. The ship shook as weapons fire hit the shields. Smoke filled the corridors. When he reached the medical bay, his stomach turned. The wall had been torn open. Metal twisted outward into space. Emergency shields held back the vacuum, but barely. Inside, equipment lay scattered everywhere. Medicine cabinets had exploded. Glass covered the floor. Search for survivors, someone shouted. Hyunwoo climbed over broken machines and burning debris. He found 2 young crew members first, scared but alive, hiding behind an overturned bed. He sent them to safety. Then he saw her. Da-yoon lay beneath a collapsed shelf. Her normally bright skin looked dim, flickering like a dying light. Cracks ran through her crystalline body, leaking some kind of luminous fluid. She was not moving. Over here, Hyunwoo called. He knelt beside her, carefully lifting the metal shelf. It was heavy, but fear gave him strength. Da-yoon, can you hear me? Her eyes opened slowly. They were like opals, shifting colors in the emergency lights. She tried to speak, but no sound came out. Her hand moved weakly toward him. Don't move. Help is coming. He took her hand without thinking. It felt smooth and cool, not quite like skin, more like polished stone. The medical team arrived with a stretcher. They moved Da-eun carefully, whispering to each other in worried tones. Hyunwoo heard fragments of their conversation. The damage is too severe. Her regeneration matrix is shattered. She saved those 2 kids, threw herself in front of the blast. Hyunwoo followed them to the emergency medical ward. The pirates were gone now, driven off by the ship's weapons. But they had done their damage. 3 crew members were dead. 5 more were injured. Da-yoon was the worst. In the temporary medical room, Dr. Choi worked over Da-yoon with other doctors. Machines beeped and hummed. Hyunwoo stood by the door, still holding his emergency kit, feeling useless. You should go, a nurse said gently. There's nothing you can do here. But Hyunwoo stayed. He could not explain why. He barely knew Da-eun. They had shared maybe 10 conversations, always brief, always about work. Yet something pulled him to remain. Hours passed. The doctors tried everything. Medicine, energy treatments, cellular regeneration technology. Nothing worked. Philothari bodies could heal almost any injury, but only if their crystalline matrix remained intact. Da-yoon's was broken in too many places. Dr. Choi finally stepped back, removing his gloves. His face was grim. I'm sorry, he said quietly. Her body is shutting down. Without the ability to regenerate, she has maybe 12 hours. Perhaps less. Hyunwoo felt something crack inside his chest. 12 hours. This brave, kind woman who had saved 2 lives would be dead before morning. Can I sit with her? He asked. Dr. Choi looked surprised but nodded. Of course. She should not be alone. Hyunwoo pulled a chair close to Da-eun's bed. She lay very still, her light patterns barely visible now. He took her hand again the way he had in the wreckage. I don't know if you can hear me, he said softly, but I wanted to tell you something. What you did was incredibly brave. Those 2 people are alive because of you. Their families will see them again because you chose to protect them. He talked to her for a long time. He told her about the repairs he was making to the ship, about the stars outside his window, about his home on Earth, a place she would never see. He talked because silence felt like giving up. Dr. Choi returned to check her vital signs. He frowned at his scanner, then checked it again. That's strange, he muttered. What is, Hyunwoo asked. Her decline has slowed. Not stopped, but slowed. Her cellular decay rate has decreased by 15%. The doctor looked confused. That shouldn't be possible. He ran more scans, his frown deepening. Lieutenant Kim, I need you to step outside for a moment. Hyunwoo stood and moved to the hallway. Through the window, he watched Dr. Choi work. The doctor's expression changed from confused to alarmed. He checked Daun's vitals again and again. Minutes passed. Then Dr. Choi called him back in. "Sit down," the doctor said. "Hold her hand again." "Why?" "Just do it, please." Hyunwoo sat and took Daun's hand. Dr. Choi watched his scanner closely. His eyes widened. "Incredible," he whispered. "Her cellular decay has decreased another 20%. Her light patterns are strengthening. Hyunwoo, when you left the room, her condition worsened. When you came back and touched her, it improved. I don't understand. Neither do I, but somehow your presence is affecting her biology. You're helping her heal." Dr. Choi's hands shook as he made notes. "This should be impossible. Humans and Velithari have completely different physiologies. There's no scientific reason why your proximity should matter." They tested it again. Hyunwoo left the room. Daeun's vitals dropped. He returned. They improved. It happened every time. Dr. Choi called Captain Park. Soon the small medical room filled with senior officers. They all saw the data. They all reached the same impossible conclusion. Daeun would die without Hyunwoo nearby. Captain Park pulled Hyunwoo into the hallway. The older man's face was serious. "Son, I need to ask you something, and I need you to think carefully before answering. Dr. Choi believes that if you stay close to Daeun, she might survive. Her body might heal enough to stabilize, but that means you would need to be near her constantly. You would have to move into the medical bay. Your duties, your privacy, your freedom, all of it would change. You would essentially become her life support system." Hyunwoo looked through the window at Daeun. Her dim light flickered weakly. "How long?" he asked. "We don't know. Weeks, maybe months, maybe forever. And if I say no?" Captain Park's silence was answer enough. Hyunwoo thought about the crew members he had failed to save 3 years ago. The explosion he could not prevent. The guilt that still woke him at night. He thought about Daeun throwing herself in front of danger to protect others. "I'll do it," he said. "Hyunwoo, you don't have to decide right now." "Yes, I do. She's dying, Captain. If I can help her, then that's what I'll do. Move my things to the medical bay. I'll stay with her for as long as it takes." Captain Park gripped his shoulder. "You're a good man." Hyunwoo returned to Daeun's side. He sat down and took her hand again. Through the night he stayed awake, watching her light patterns slowly grow brighter. He did not know what the future would bring. He did not know how or why his presence helped her. But he knew one thing with absolute certainty. He would not let her die alone. The medical bay no longer looked like a hospital. Over 3 days it had transformed into something between a living space and a research lab. Hyunwoo's belongings arrived in boxes. His tools, his clothes, his small collection of books. Even a potted plant from the hydroponics bay that he had been growing for 2 years. He set up his workstation in the corner, trying to make the space feel less clinical. Daeun watched him from her medical bed, her light patterns dim but steady. She had not spoken much since waking. The pain medication kept her quiet, but her eyes followed his every movement. "I'm sorry," she finally said. Her voice was soft, like wind chimes. "This is not fair to you." Hyunwoo looked up from unpacking. "You saved 2 lives. That seems pretty fair to me." She turned her head away. Her light patterns flickered red, which he was learning meant shame or embarrassment. "I did my job. You should not have to give up yours because of it." "I'm still doing my job," he said, pulling out a data pad filled with engineering reports. "Captain Park is routing everything to me. I can work from here." She did not look convinced. The first week was awkward. They were strangers forced into constant proximity. Daeun tried to give him privacy, which was impossible in a single room. Hyunwoo tried to maintain boundaries, which was equally impossible when his presence was literally keeping her alive. Dr. Choi visited twice a day, running tests and taking measurements. He was obsessed with understanding the healing effect. "Why does it work?" he muttered constantly. "What is the mechanism? Is it chemical? Electromagnetic? Quantum?" Hyunwoo had no answers. He just knew that when he sat near Daeun, her light patterns grew brighter. When he held her hand, the cracks in her crystalline skin began to close, slowly but visibly. When he left the room for too long, she weakened. They discovered the range by accident. Hyunwoo went to the bathroom down the hall about 20 meters away. Within minutes, alarms on Daeun's medical monitors started beeping. He ran back to find her gasping, her lights flickering wildly. He grabbed her hand and the alarm stopped. 15 meters, Dr. Choi announced after more tests. "That's the maximum distance. Any farther and she starts to decline." Hyunwoo looked at the small room. 15 meters. That was his entire world now. The crew talked, of course. Hyunwoo heard the whispers. Some people thought it was romantic. Others thought it was tragic. A few thought it was wrong that he was being forced into something against his will, but he had made his choice and he would not change it. Daeun grew stronger each day. By the end of the second week, she could sit up. By the third week, she could walk around the room. Her light patterns became more complex, shifting through colors Hyunwoo was learning to read. Blue meant calm. Green meant curiosity. Gold meant happiness. Red meant discomfort or embarrassment. They fell into a routine. Mornings began with medical checks. Dr. Choi or one of his assistants would scan Daeun, measure her healing progress, and update her charts. Then Hyunwoo would work on engineering reports while Daeun read medical journals on her datapad. Afternoons were for physical therapy. Daeun pushed herself hard, determined to regain her strength. She practiced walking, then standing for longer periods, then simple exercises. Hyunwoo stayed nearby, ready to catch her if she fell. She never asked for help, but he noticed she moved more confidently when he was close. Evenings were different. The medical staff left them alone and the ship grew quiet. That was when they talked. Real conversations, not just medical updates or polite small talk. They learned about each other. Daeun told him about Valithar, her homeworld, a planet of crystalline spires and bioluminescent forests where the cities glowed like living auroras. She described her family, her education, her decision to join the coalition to explore the galaxy. Hyunwoo told her about Earth, about Seoul, where he grew up, about the academy where he trained, about the accident 3 years ago that killed 7 crew members, the accident he blamed himself for even though the investigation cleared him. He had never told anyone that story before. Why do you blame yourself? Daeun asked. Her light patterns showed deep blue, the color of concern. You said the reactor failed. That was not your fault. I was the engineer on duty. I should have caught the warning signs. He stared at his hands. I should have saved them. You cannot save everyone, she said quietly. I learned that in medical training. Sometimes, despite everything we do, people die. It is the hardest lesson. But it does not mean we stop trying. Her words stayed with him. She understood in a way others had not. She carried the same burden, the same drive to protect others even at personal cost. One evening in the 4th week, a critical alert came through. The ship's main power distributor was failing. It was a complex problem, the kind only Hyunwoo could solve. But it was in Engineering Bay 12, far beyond the 15-meter range. Go, Daeun said immediately. Your ship needs you. I'll be fine. I'm stronger now, Hyunwoo hesitated. The medical monitors showed her vitals were stable, better than they had been in weeks. But leaving her felt wrong. What if something happened? Captain Park arrived personally. We need you, son. The backup systems won't hold much longer. Hyunwoo looked at Daeun. She nodded, her light patterns showing gold and blue. Determination and trust. Go, fix the ship. I will be here when you return, he went. The work took 4 hours. 4 hours of crawling through access tunnels, rewiring circuits, replacing damaged components. 4 hours of trying to focus while worry gnawed at him. 4 hours wondering if Daeun was okay. When he finally fixed the problem and ran back to the medical bay, he found Dr. Choi and 2 nurses working frantically over Daeun. Her light patterns were barely visible. Her breathing was shallow. The monitors screamed warnings. Hyunwoo pushed past them and grabbed Daeun's hand. Her skin was cold. Her eyes opened slowly, unfocused. I'm sorry, he said, his voice breaking. I'm so sorry. I should not have left. Her light patterns flickered weakly. Not your fault. She struggled to speak. You saved the ship. That matters, but you almost died. So did everyone else. If power failed, her hand squeezed his weakly. Worth it. The monitors began to stabilize as his presence took effect. Color returned to her skin. Her breathing deepened. Dr. Choi pulled Hyunwoo aside later. The dependency is getting stronger. When you left this time, her decline was faster than before. The bond between you is deepening. We don't know what that means long term. That night after the medical staff left, Hyunwoo sat beside Daeun's bed. She was asleep, her light patterns cycling slowly through peaceful colors. He watched her breathe, watched the gentle glow beneath her skin, and realized something that terrified him. He was not staying because of duty anymore. He was staying because he wanted to. Because in 4 weeks, this strange, brave alien woman had become important to him in ways he could not explain. Daeun stirred, opening her eyes. "Cannot sleep?" she asked. Hyunwoo shook his head. "Just thinking." "About what?" "About how 4 weeks ago I thought my life was ordinary. I fixed machines. I did my job. I went through the motions. And now everything is different. Is that bad?" she asked. Her light patterns showed gold with hints of blue, hope mixed with uncertainty. "No," he said honestly. "It's not bad. It's just unexpected." She was quiet for a moment. "For me too. I was dying. I had accepted it. And then you stayed. You gave up your freedom to keep a stranger alive." Why? Hyunwoo thought about his answer. "Because you saved those crew members. Because you deserved a chance to live. Because walking away would have meant letting you die, and I couldn't do that. And now? What about now? Why do you stay?" He met her eyes, those strange, beautiful eyes that shifted colors like opals. Now I stay because you're not a stranger anymore. You're my friend. And friends don't abandon each other." Her light patterns blazed gold, pure and bright. "On Velithar we have a saying. Translated, it means, the light we share becomes brighter than the light we hold alone." I did not understand it until now. Hyunwoo smiled. "That's beautiful." She returned the smile, the first real smile he had seen from her. "So is friendship, especially the unexpected kind." They talked late into the night, and for the first time since moving into the medical bay, Hyunwoo felt truly at peace. His life had changed completely. His freedom was limited. His future was uncertain, but somehow sitting in that small room with Da-eun, watching her light patterns dance through happy colors, he felt more alive than he had in years. The guilt that had haunted him since the accident began to fade. He could not save everyone, but he had saved her. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. 3 months had passed since the accident. The medical bay barely resembled a hospital anymore. It had become their shared home. Hyunwoo's engineering equipment sat beside Da-eun's medical reference books. His earth plants grew in the corner next to her Velithari light sculptures. 2 cultures, 2 species existing in 15 meters of space. Da-eun had recovered remarkably. She could walk without pain. She could work full shifts from their quarters, consulting with other medical staff through video calls. The cracks in her crystalline skin had healed, leaving only faint lines like silver threads. Her light patterns were vibrant and complex, but she still needed Hyunwoo nearby. Dr. Choi's tests confirmed it. The dependency had not decreased. If anything, it had grown stronger, more specific, more personal. The doctor presented his findings one morning, his face showing both excitement and concern. "I have been analyzing the data for months," he said, projecting charts onto the wall screen. "The healing effect is not just chemical or biological. It is something more complex." Hyunwoo and Da-eun sat side by side watching the presentation. "What do you mean?" Hyunwoo asked. Dr. Choi highlighted a section of genetic code. "Your presence, Hyunwoo, is activating dormant sequences in Da-eun's DNA. Sequences that exist in all Velithari, but have been inactive for thousands of years." Da-eun leaned forward, her light patterns shifting to bright green. Curiosity. What kind of sequences? "Regenerative abilities far beyond what modern Velithari possess. Your ancestors could heal from almost any injury. That ability faded over time, became vestigial, but humans somehow trigger its reactivation." "Why humans?" Hyunwoo asked. "Why would humans from Earth affect an alien species from across the galaxy? That is the question." Dr. Choi switched to another chart. "I have been researching human biochemistry. You produce compounds that are extremely rare in the galaxy, specific proteins, certain electromagnetic frequencies. When combined, they create a unique signature." Da-eun stood and walked to the screen, studying the data. "And this signature interacts with Velithari cellular structures?" "Exactly. More than that, it is enhanced by emotional connection. The stronger your bond with Hyunwoo, the more effective the healing becomes." Both of them fell silent. Emotional connection. That was hard to deny now. They spent every hour together. They knew each other's habits, preferences, moods. They could communicate with glances. Da-eun could read Hyunwoo's expressions as easily as he could read her light patterns. "Is this happening to other Velithari?" Da-eun asked. "With other humans?" Dr. Choi nodded slowly. "I contacted the coalition. They ran tests on 3 other ships with human and Velithari crew. The effect is real, but much weaker. Proximity to humans provides minor health benefits to Velithari. Faster healing, better energy levels. Nothing like what you two experience. So what makes us different? Hyunwoo asked. That, Dr. Choi said carefully, is what concerns me. The intensity of your connection suggests something more than casual proximity. It suggests a bond. After Dr. Choi left, Hyunwoo and Dayun sat in uncomfortable silence. A bond. The word felt heavy, meaningful, scary. What does bonding mean for Velithari? Hyunwoo finally asked. Dayun's light patterns shifted through several colors before settling on deep blue mixed with gold. It is rare, very rare. Velithari live for centuries. We form relationships, friendships, partnerships. But bonding is different. It is when two beings become essential to each other's existence. Not just physically, but mentally. Emotionally, has it happened before? With other species? Never, only between Velithari. Perhaps a dozen recorded cases in our entire history. It is considered almost mythical. And now it might be happening between us? A human and a Velithari? She nodded slowly. The medical data suggests it. The way my body responds to you. The way separation affects me not just physically, but emotionally. The way I feel. She paused, her lights flickering uncertainly. Complete when you're near. Hyunwoo felt his chest tighten. He had been trying to ignore these feelings for weeks. The way he worried when she was in pain. The way her smile made him happy. The way he looked forward to their evening conversations more than anything else in his day. I feel it too, he admitted. At first I thought it was just responsibility. I was keeping you alive, so of course I cared. But it is more than that now. When I'm working and I hear you laugh at something, my whole day gets better. When you're in pain, I feel it even before the monitor's alarm. And when Dr. Choi talks about separating us for tests, I panic. Don moved closer, sitting beside him on the small couch they had brought in weeks ago. What does that mean for us? For our future? I don't know. On Earth, we would call this falling in love. But I don't know if that's the same as bonding. Perhaps they are not so different, she said softly. Love. Bonding. Connection. Maybe all species experience it. Maybe the words change, but the feeling is universal. He looked at her, really looked at her. Her skin glowed with soft light. Her eyes held depths he wanted to explore forever. She was alien, strange, different from anyone he had ever known, and she was perfect. Their quiet moment was interrupted by an urgent message from Captain Park. Report to my office, both of you. Bring Dr. Choi. In the captain's office, they found several senior officers waiting. The atmosphere was tense. Captain Park gestured to chairs. Sit down. I received a transmission from Coalition High Command. They want you both transferred to a research facility. Dayun's light patterns flashed red. When 2 weeks. A specialized ship is being dispatched. They say your case is too important to study aboard a normal vessel. They want dedicated scientists, proper facilities, the ability to run extensive tests. We can refuse, Hyunwoo said immediately. Captain Park's expression was grim. You can, but they will apply pressure. Your discovery has implications for the entire Velithari species. The political dimension cannot be ignored. What kind of facility? Dayun asked. Her voice was steady, but her lights betrayed her worry. Captain Park pulled up information on his screen. The Kepler Research Station. It specializes in xenobiology and cross-species medicine. On paper, it is impressive. State-of-the-art equipment. Top scientists on paper, Hyunwoo repeated. What about off paper? The captain hesitated. I did some research. The facility has a reputation for prioritizing results over subject comfort. Several whistleblowers have complained about ethics violations. Nothing proven, but the complaints exist. Dr. Choi spoke up. If you go, you lose autonomy. You become research subjects, not partners. They will control your schedules, your privacy, your lives, and separation will be part of their testing protocol. They will want to understand the limits of the bond. Hyunwoo felt cold. Separation. Days or weeks apart, watching Da-eun suffer. No, absolutely not. Dayun placed her hand on his arm. Her touch calmed him slightly. We need to think about this logically. What we have discovered could help my entire species. Millions of Velithari could benefit from human proximity. I cannot ignore that responsibility. Not at the cost of your well-being, Hyunwoo argued. They will treat you like a lab specimen. You deserve better than that. And so do you. You have sacrificed enough, Captain Park interrupted. There might be another option. The Velithari government has expressed interest in hosting the research on Velithar. Your homeworld, Dayun. They are offering resources, facilities, and a guarantee of ethical treatment. Dayun's light patterns brightened with interest. Velithar, home? Yes, but it would mean leaving Coalition service, relocating permanently, and Hyunwoo, you would be the first human to live on Velithar long-term. It would be a cultural exchange as much as research. Hyunwoo looked at Da-un. Her expression was hopeful but uncertain. She was asking him without words if he would go with her, if he would leave everything he knew for an alien world where he would be the outsider, the strange one. How long do we have to decide? 2 weeks. The coalition ship arrives then. If you want to pursue the Velithar option, we need to start the paperwork immediately. They left the office in silence, returning to their quarters. Once the door closed, Da-un turned to Hyunwoo. I will not ask you to come to Velithar. That is too much. If we refuse both options, they cannot force us. We stay here together on the celestial horizon, and your chance to help your species, your people. She looked away. Some things matter more than duty. You have taught me that. Hyunwoo took her hands. The familiar coolness of her skin grounded him. What do you want, Da-un? Not what is your duty, not what is practical. What do you want? Her light patterns cycled through colors, emotions too complex to name. I want to go home. I want to see the crystalline spires again. I want to show you the bioluminescent forests. I want my people to benefit from what we have learned. But more than any of that, I want you there. I want us to do this together. Then we go together, he said simply. To Velithar. We do the research on our terms, as partners. We help your people, and we stay bonded because that is what we are now. Whether we chose it or not, whether we understand it or not, we are bonded. Are you certain? Leaving Earth, your career, your people, I have never been more certain of anything in my life. Da-un's light patterns blazed brilliant gold, brighter than he had ever seen. On Velithar, when someone makes a life commitment, we share light. It is symbolic, a promise of connection. She held out both hands and her skin glowed intensely. Will you share light with me, Hyunwoo Kim? Will you bond with me, Pho? The transport ship that would take them to Velithar arrived in 6 days. 6 days to prepare for a complete change of life. 6 days to say goodbye to the celestial horizon and the crew that had become family. Hyunwoo packed his belongings for the 3rd time in 4 months. First into his quarters, then into the medical bay, now into cargo containers bound for an alien world. Da-un helped him, her light patterns shifting between gold and blue. Happiness mixed with nervousness. The crew threw them a farewell party in the observation lounge. Humans and aliens gathered together, sharing food and stories. Captain Park gave a speech about courage and connection. Dr. Choi presented them with copies of all his research, everything they would need to continue their work. You are pioneers, the doctor said, his voice emotional. You are proving that the barriers between species are not as solid as we thought. That connection is possible in ways we never imagined. Ensign Lee, a young medical technician who had helped care for Da-un, approached them shyly. I wanted to thank you both. Watching you, seeing how you care for each other, it changed how I think about aliens, about differences. You showed us that kindness crosses every boundary. Many crew members said similar things. The bond between Hyunwoo and Da-un had affected the entire ship. It had made people think differently about what was possible, but not everyone was happy. Commander Han, the tactical officer, pulled Hyunwoo aside. Are you certain about this? Leaving everything for an alien world? What if it doesn't work out? What if the bond breaks? Then I'll deal with it, Hyunwoo said. But I'm not making this decision out of obligation anymore. I'm making it because I want to be with her. Because she makes me happy. Because this bond, whatever it is, feels right. The commander studied him, then nodded slowly. I hope you find what you're looking for. Both of you. The night before departure, Hyunwoo and Da-un returned to their quarters one last time. The medical bay that had been their prison, their home, their sanctuary. They had spent 4 months in this small space. 4 months that changed everything. Are you scared? Da-un asked. They sat together on their couch, her head resting on his shoulder. It was a human gesture she had adopted, one that felt natural now. Terrified, he admitted. I'm going to a planet where I don't speak the language, don't understand the culture, where I'll be the only human among billions of Velithari. What if I fail? What if I can't adapt? You adapted to living in a medical bay with a dying alien. You adapted to having your freedom restricted. You adapted to bonding with someone from a completely different species. Her light patterns pulsed gently. You're the most adaptable person I know. What about you? Are you scared? Very. Not of going home. but of what happens when we arrive. My people will have expectations, questions. They will want to study us, test the bond, understand every detail. It will not be easy. We'll face it together, Hyunwoo said. That's what bonded means, right? We don't face anything alone anymore. She lifted her head to look at him. Her eyes were luminous in the dim room. I need to tell you something about bonding, about what it really means. He waited, sensing this was important. On Velithar, bonding is permanent. Once formed, it cannot be broken. Not by distance, not by time, not by choice. We are linked now, Hyunwoo, for the rest of our lives. The weight of that statement settled over them. Forever. No divorce, no separation, no walking away if things got hard. You told me this, he said, when we shared light. I understood what I was agreeing to. Intellectually, yes. But emotionally, do you truly understand what forever means? Velithari lived for 300 years. I might live for 2 more centuries. You might live another 60 or 70. What happens when you age and I do not? When you die and I continue? Hyunwoo had not thought about that. The lifespan difference. The fact that he would grow old while she remained young. That she would outlive him by decades, possibly centuries. I don't know, he said honestly. But I would rather have 60 years with you than 100 years without you. Her light patterns shifted to deep blue. Sadness. When you die, the bond will not break. I will feel the absence for the rest of my life. It is said that bonded Velithari who lose their partners never truly recover. They exist, but they do not live. Then we make every moment count, Hyunwoo said firmly. We don't waste time worrying about the end. We focus on now, on building a life together, on helping your people, on finding joy in whatever time we have. You make it sound simple. Because it is simple. Not easy, but simple.
I love you, Daun.
I bonded with you knowing what it meant. I'm choosing you every day. That's all that matters. Her light patterns blazed gold. I love you too. In my language, we say something that does not translate well. It means you are my essential brightness. The light that makes all other light visible. Before you, I was alive but dim. Now I glow. They held each other in the quiet room. 2 beings from different worlds who had found something rare and precious. In the morning, they would leave for Velithar. They would face whatever challenges came. But tonight, they were simply together. The departure was emotional. Captain Park shook Hyunwoo's hand firmly, his eyes wet. You've been one of the best officers I've ever served with. Take care of yourself, and take care of her. Dr. Choi hugged them both, which was unusual for the reserved scientist. Keep sending me data. I want to follow your progress. And remember, what you're doing matters, not just for the Velithari, for all of us. The crew lined the docking bay as they boarded the transport, humans and aliens all united in wishing them well. Hyunwoo felt a lump in his throat. He had found family on this ship. Now he was leaving them behind. But Daun took his hand and the anxiety eased. He was not losing family. He was gaining a new one. The transport was designed for comfort. They had private quarters, larger than the medical bay had been. Windows showed the stars sliding past as they accelerated toward Velithar. The journey would take 3 weeks. During the flight, they prepared. Daun taught Hyunwoo the Velithari language. The sounds were strange, musical, with harmonics humans struggled to produce. But he learned. She taught him customs, social rules, the things he needed to know to avoid offending anyone. Velithari do not shake hands, she explained. We touch foreheads. It is a gesture of trust and openness, and personal space is different. We stand closer in conversation. Touch is common among friends. What about bonded pairs? How are they treated? With respect and curiosity. Bonding is rare enough that most Velithari never see it. You and I will be unusual. A bonded pair is already rare. A human Velithari bonded pair is unprecedented. Hyunwoo also learned about Velithari society. They valued knowledge, art, and longevity. Violence was rare. Conflicts were resolved through discussion and mediation. The government was a council of elders, the oldest and wisest making decisions for the whole. It sounded peaceful, but Daun warned him. Not everyone will welcome you. Some Velithari are traditionalists. They believe we should not interact so closely with other species. They will see our bond as wrong or unnatural. How many? Enough to cause problems, but not enough to stop us. The council has already approved our research program. We have official support. As the journey continued, Hyunwoo felt the reality settling in. He was truly leaving his old life behind, his career in the Coalition, his human friends, the familiar comforts of human culture. Everything was changing. One evening, as they watched the stars, he asked Daun a question that had been bothering him. What if this doesn't work? What if humans and Velithari are too different? What if I can't make a life there? She was quiet for a long moment. Then you would return to human space. I would come with you. We are bonded. Where one goes, the other follows. But I do not think it will come to that. You are stronger than you believe. You would leave Velithar, your home, for me? Her light patterns pulsed with absolute certainty. Without hesitation. Home is not a place anymore. Home is wherever you are. On the final day of the journey, they received a message from Velithar. It was from Counselor Thexnar, the government official overseeing their research program. Welcome to Velithar. We have prepared facilities for you both. The scientific community is eager to begin work. But know this, you arrive as honored guests, not as subjects. You will be treated with respect and dignity. The message was reassuring. But Hyunwoo still felt nervous. Everything hinged on what happened next. If the research went well, they would help millions of Velithari. If it failed, they would be alone on an alien world with no clear purpose. As Velithar came into view through the windows, Hyunwoo stared in wonder. The planet glowed, literally glowed. The continents shimmered with bioluminescence. Cities sparkled like constellations. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. Daun stood beside him, her hand in his. Home, she whispered. I am bringing you home. The ship descended through the atmosphere. Hyunwoo watched the crystalline spires grow larger. The bioluminescent forest spread across the landscape. This would be his home now. This alien, beautiful, terrifying world. Are you ready? Daun asked as they prepared to disembark. He took a deep breath. No, but I'm going anyway. She smiled, her light patterns bright with joy and love. That is all we can ever do. Face the unknown with courage. And together, Part 5, the Andara Research Complex was stunning. Built from the same crystalline material as Velithari bodies, it glowed with inner light. The buildings spiraled upward like natural formations, each one pulsing with different colors. Gardens of bioluminescent plants surrounded everything, creating a landscape that looked like a dream. Hyunwoo stepped off the transport onto solid ground, onto Velithar, and immediately felt overwhelmed. The air smelled different, sweeter. The gravity was slightly lighter, making him feel almost weightless, and everywhere he looked, Velithari moved gracefully, their bodies glowing with shifting light patterns. He was the only human, the only one. Hundreds of eyes turned toward him, curious and surprised. Some light patterns showed welcome. Others showed uncertainty. A few flickered red, which Daun had taught him meant discomfort or disapproval. Daun squeezed his hand. Breathe. You are doing fine. But his heart raced. This was real now. He was an alien on an alien world. Counselor Thexnar approached them. He was tall even for a Velithari, his crystalline skin showing complex patterns of silver and blue. Welcome to Velithar, Engineer Kim. Medical Officer Daun. We are honored to host your research. Thank you, Counselor. Daun replied in their musical language. Hyunwoo understood most of it now, but still found the harmonics difficult to reproduce. We are grateful for this opportunity. Thexnar turned to Hyunwoo, switching to standard for his benefit. Your quarters have been prepared. They are designed to accommodate both species comfortably. We have also assembled a research team, scientists who wish to understand the human-Velithari connection. How many volunteers do you have? Hyunwoo asked. For testing the healing effect with other Velithari? 43 so far, all with various medical conditions. All hoping that human proximity might help them as it helped Daun. Their quarters were spacious and beautiful. Walls of translucent crystal that could shift opacity for privacy. Furniture that adapted to both human and Velithari proportions. Windows overlooking bioluminescent gardens. It was more home than the medical bay on the celestial horizon had been. The first week was adjustment. Hyunwoo struggled with the language, the customs, the simple fact of being the only human among millions of aliens. People stared, not rudely but with open curiosity. Some approached him, touching their foreheads to his in greeting, asking questions. Is Earth really covered in water? What does the sun look like without protective crystals? Do all humans bond as strongly as you and Daun? He answered patiently, trying to be a good ambassador. But by evening, he was exhausted. Dayun sensed his struggle. You do not have to be perfect. You are allowed to make mistakes. To be tired. To miss your own people. I know this is hard. I don't want to let you down, he admitted. Everyone here is watching us, judging whether humans and Velithari can really work together. If I fail for all humans. You cannot fail by being yourself. Her light patterns pulsed with love and reassurance. That is all anyone can ask. The research began in earnest. They worked with Dr. Yunha, a Velithari scientist who specialized in cellular biology. She was brilliant and kind. Her light patterns always warm when she spoke to them. Together they designed protocols to test the healing effect safely. The results were remarkable. When Hyunwoo spent time near elderly Velithari, their vitality improved. Chronic pain decreased. Healing rates increased. The effect was not as strong as with Daun, but it was real and measurable. One volunteer, an old Velithari named Sung-min, had been suffering from deteriorating crystals for decades. After 3 sessions sitting near Hyunwoo just talking and sharing tea, his condition noticeably improved. Sung-min wept with joy, his light patterns brilliant gold. You have given me hope, he told Hyunwoo. For years I thought my light would dim to nothing. Now I might see my great-grandchildren grow. Thank you. Moments like that made everything worthwhile. But not everyone was happy. A group of traditionalists led by Minister Kalesh began speaking out against the research. They called it dependency, weakness, and abandonment of Velithari self-sufficiency. Kalesh gave speeches warning that reliance on humans would make Velithari vulnerable. What happens when humans are not available? What happens if relations between our species sour? We would be crippled, dependent on beings we cannot control. His arguments gained support. Some Velithari began to question whether the research should continue. Protests formed outside the complex. Not violent, but vocal. Signs in flowing Velithari script demanded an end to the experiments. Hyunwoo felt the weight of it. He was causing division. His presence, meant to heal, was creating conflict. Maybe Kalesh is right, he said to Daeun one night. Maybe this is creating more problems than it solves. Change always creates conflict. Her light patterns were steady, confident. The traditionalists fear what they do not understand. But look at the volunteers. Look at Sung-min. Look at the dozens of others whose lives have improved. That is real. That matters, but what if it creates dependency? What if Kalesh is right about that? Then we address it. We research ways to make the healing effect more permanent. We find methods that do not require constant human presence, but we do not stop trying to help people just because some are afraid. The political pressure increased. Councillor Thexnar called them to a meeting. The council is concerned. Kalesh has considerable support. There are calls to shut down the research program. What would you have us do? Daeun asked. We need a demonstration. Something that proves the research has value beyond individual treatment. Something that shows how human Velithari cooperation benefits everyone. Dr. Yunha spoke up. We have been making progress on understanding the mechanism, the genetic sequences that humans activate. If we can document that fully, we might find ways to trigger them artificially, to make the healing permanent without requiring constant human proximity. How long would that take? Months, maybe years. But it would solve the dependency problem. Hyunwoo felt hope stirring. If they could prove that human contact was a catalyst, not a crutch, maybe the opposition would ease. Then that becomes our focus, he said. We prove that this is not about making Velithari dependent on humans. It is about unlocking abilities you already have. We are just the key. But the research was interrupted by personal news. Daeun received a message from her family. Her mother was critically ill. The same condition that Daeun had suffered. The same shattered crystalline matrix. Daeun's light patterns flickered with distress. I must go to her, immediately. Hyunwoo did not hesitate. Then we go. Both of us. They traveled to Daeun's home city, a place called Luminar. It was older than Andara, its crystal spires worn smooth by centuries. Daeun's family lived in a traditional compound, multiple generations sharing space in the Velithari way. Daeun's mother, Hai Wan, lay in a healing chamber. Her light was dim, flickering weakly. She looked so much like Daeun, but older, her crystalline skin showing the wear of 3 centuries. When she saw her daughter, her light brightened slightly. My child, Hai Wan whispered. You came, of course I came. Daeun knelt beside her mother, taking her hand. And I brought someone who might help. Haewon's gaze shifted to Hyunwoo, the human. Your bondmate. Yes. Hyunwoo stepped forward, suddenly nervous. Meeting Dayun's mother under these circumstances felt wrong. He should be making a good impression, not arriving as a last hope. I was wrong about you, Haewon said softly. When Daeun told me she had bonded with a human, I was angry. Confused, I thought she was making a terrible mistake. But I see now. I see how she glows when she speaks of you. How her light is brighter than it has ever been. Dayun's eyes shimmered. Mother, save your strength. Let Hyunwoo help you, like he helped me. Haewon looked at Hyunwoo directly. Will you stay with me? For a short time? I do not ask for a permanent bond. Just enough to stabilize me. To give me time to say goodbye to my family properly. Of course, Hyunwoo said. He sat beside her and took her other hand. It felt strange holding this alien woman's hand, knowing he was literally keeping her alive. But it also felt right. Over the next days, Hyunwoo spent hours with Haewon. Dayun stayed too, and they talked. Haewon told stories about Daeun's childhood, about Velithari history, about her own long life. Slowly, her condition stabilized. Not healed completely, but stable enough. You have a gift, Haewon told Hyunwoo. Not just the healing, but the gift of presence. Of truly being there for someone. My daughter chose well. Hyunwoo felt tears in his eyes. Thank you. That means more than you know. When they returned to Andara, Haewon came with them. She wanted to see her daughter's work. Wanted to witness the research firsthand. And she became one of their strongest advocates. At a public forum, Haewon spoke about her experience. I was dying, ready to fade. But this human, this stranger to our world gave me time, gave me the chance to hold my daughter again, to see my grandchildren, to live. How can we turn away from that? Her testimony moved many. Even some of Kalesh's supporters began to question their opposition. But the minister himself remained unconvinced. He demanded a formal review of the research, a council evaluation that would determine whether the program continued. Hyunwoo and Daeun had 6 months to prepare. 6 months to prove that their work was worth continuing. 6 months to show that humans and Velithari together. 6 months passed in intense work. The research team made breakthrough after breakthrough. Dr. Yunha identified the exact proteins in human biochemistry that triggered Velithari healing. She mapped the dormant genetic sequences that activated. She even developed preliminary treatments that could extend the healing effect temporarily. But the most important discovery came from studying bonded pairs. Hyunwoo and Daeun were not the only ones anymore. 3 more human volunteers had arrived on Velithar, and 2 of them had formed bonds with Velithari patients. The bonds were not as strong as what Hyunwoo and Daeun shared, but they were real. What they learned was fascinating. Bonding enhanced the healing effect dramatically. Emotional connection amplified the biological response. Love, friendship, trust, these things mattered as much as proximity. We are not just treating bodies, Daeun explained at a research presentation. We are connecting souls. The healing happens in the space between beings, in the bond that forms when 2 people truly see each other. Their quarters in the research complex had become a true home. Hyunwoo had adapted to Velithari life remarkably well. He could speak the language fluently now, complete with the difficult harmonics. He had learned to read light patterns as easily as facial expressions. He had made friends among the Velithari scientists and volunteers, but he was still human, still different. There were moments when he missed Earth terribly, missed the feeling of walking among his own kind, missed food that tasted like home, missed not being the alien. Daeun sensed these moments and tried to help. She found human food from coalition trade ships. She learned to cook Earth dishes, though the ingredients were never quite right. She created small spaces in their quarters that felt human, a corner with Earth plants, pictures of Seoul, books in Korean. You do not have to hide your homesickness, she told him one evening. I understand. I would feel the same if I lived on Earth. It is okay to miss your world while loving this one. I do love it here, he said honestly. Velithar is beautiful. Your people are kind. The work we are doing matters. But sometimes I feel caught between 2 worlds. Not quite human anymore. Not quite Velithari, just somewhere in between. Perhaps that is exactly where you need to be. Her light patterns glowed softly. To build bridges, you must stand in the middle. You cannot be fully on one side or the other. As the council evaluation approached, opposition to their work intensified. Minister Kalash organized rallies. He brought forward Velithari, who argued that the research was making their species weak, that it was creating a dangerous dependency on another species. He also made personal attacks, claiming that Daun had betrayed her species by bonding with a human, that she was more human than Velithari now, that her judgment was compromised. The attacks hurt. Dayan tried to stay professional to focus on the science, but Hyunwoo could see the strain. Her light patterns were dimmer some days. She slept poorly. The stress was affecting her health. One night she broke down crying. "I have given everything to this. My home, my independence, my standing among my people, and they call me a traitor?" Hyunwoo held her close. "You are not a traitor, you are a pioneer. History will remember you as someone who brought two species together, who showed that connection is possible across every boundary. What if history never gets that chance? What if the council shuts us down? Then we tried. We gave it everything. And the people we helped, the lives we improved, those are real. No one can take that away." But doubt crept in. Were they doing the right thing? Was the conflict they were causing worth the benefits? These questions haunted both of them as the evaluation date drew closer. Then something unexpected happened. Minister Kalash requested a private meeting. Just him, Hyunwoo, and Daun. No cameras. No recordings. No witnesses. They met in a neutral space, a garden in the city center. Kalash arrived alone, his light patterns guarded. "I will be direct," he said. "I oppose your work. I believe it makes my people vulnerable, but I also believe in fairness. I wanted to meet you face to face before the evaluation." "We appreciate that," Daun said carefully. "Will you tell us why you oppose us so strongly? Is it really just about dependency?" Kalash was quiet for a long moment. His light patterns shifted to colors Hyunwoo had not seen before. "Complex emotions. My mother is dying," the minister finally said. "The same condition that nearly killed you, Daun. The same condition your mother suffered. I brought her to your research facility weeks ago. I sat with her near the human volunteers. Nothing happened. The healing did not work for her." Daun's light patterns flashed with understanding and compassion. "So you oppose us because you could not save her, because the treatment that worked for others failed for someone you love?" "Yes. And if it does not work for everyone, if it only helps some Velithari, then what is the point? You give false hope. You divide my people between those who can benefit and those who cannot." Hyunwoo leaned forward. "Can we try? Can I sit with your mother? Sometimes the healing requires more than proximity. It requires connection. Maybe if we spent time together, really talked, maybe it would work." Kalash's light patterns flickered with surprise and suspicion. "Why would you help me? I have been your enemy." "Because your mother is dying," Hyunwoo said simply. "And if I can help, I will. That is what we do. We help." The minister studied him for a long time, then nodded slowly. "Come tomorrow. Meet her. Try. But know this. If it fails, I will use it as evidence against you." The next day they went to Kalash's home. His mother, Jiwoo, was ancient even by Velithari standards, nearly 400 years old. Her crystalline skin was cracked and dim. She lay in a healing chamber, barely conscious. Hyunwoo sat beside her. He did not try to force anything. He just talked. He told her about Earth, about his journey to Velithar, about falling in love with Daun. He told her stories his grandmother had told him as a child. Hours passed. Kalash watched silently, his light patterns unreadable. Daun sat nearby, lending her support. And slowly, incredibly, Jiwoo began to respond. Her light patterns grew slightly brighter. Her breathing steadied. After 3 days of visits, Jiwoo opened her eyes fully for the first time in weeks. She looked at Hyunwoo with clear recognition. "You are the human, the one everyone talks about." "Yes," he said gently. "I am Hyunwoo. My son opposes you." "I know, he loves you." "He's afraid of losing you." She managed a weak smile. "He should not be afraid. I am old. I have lived a full life. But I am glad to have met you before the end. You have a kind heart." Kalash knelt beside his mother. "You are improving. The scans show it. Maybe you will not fade yet." "Maybe," Jiwoo agreed. "But if I do, know that I was wrong to judge these two. They are doing good work. Do not let my condition blind you to that." The minister's light patterns crumbled into complex grief and confusion. "I don't know what to think anymore. I built my entire opposition on the belief that this was wrong, that it made us weak. but I cannot deny what I see. You helped my mother when no one else could. Dayun spoke gently. We are not asking you to abandon your concerns. Dependency is a real issue. We are working to solve it. But do not let fear stop us from helping those who need it. Your mother deserves that chance. So do thousands of others. Over the following weeks, Jiwoo continued to stabilize. She would not fully recover, but she gained months, maybe years, and Kalesh's opposition softened. He did not become an advocate, but he stopped actively fighting them. The council evaluation was scheduled for the end of the month. Hyunwoo and Dayun prepared their presentation carefully. They compiled data from months of research. They gathered testimonials from volunteers. They prepared visual demonstrations of the healing effect. But more than data, they prepared their story. The story of how they met, how they bonded, how they had built a life together across every difference. Because in the end, that was what mattered most. Not the science, not the politics, but the connection. The night before the evaluation, they sat on their balcony overlooking the glowing city. The bioluminescent forests shimmered in the distance. Stars filled the sky above. Whatever happens tomorrow, Dayun said, I want you to know something. This has been the best time of my life. Even with all the stress and opposition and doubt, being with you, building this with you, it has made me happier than I ever imagined possible. Hyunwoo took her hand. He could feel the warmth of her light through her skin. For me, too. I came to Velithar terrified, unsure, but you have given me a home, a purpose, a family. I have no regrets. Do you think we will win? I don't know, but I know we will be together. And that is enough. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the lights of Velithar pulse and shift. Tomorrow would bring judgment, but tonight they had each other. And in the end, that was all that truly mattered. The council chamber was enormous. A dome of living crystal that caught and amplified light from every Velithari present. Hundreds of them filled the space, their combined glow creating a constantly shifting aurora of color. Counselors sat in a ring around the center, where Hyunwoo and Da-eun would make their presentation. Hyunwoo's hands were shaking. He had faced many challenges in his life, but never one this important. The future of human Velithari cooperation depended on the next few hours. Daeyoon squeezed his hand. Her touch steadied him, as it always did. Counselor Thexnar called the session to order. We gather to evaluate the human Velithari research program, to determine if it should continue, expand, or end. We will hear from those opposed, those in favor, and the researchers themselves. Let all speak with honesty and respect. Minister Kal-esh spoke first. His light patterns were complex, showing the internal struggle he felt. For months I have opposed this program. I believed it made us weak, dependent. I saw it as a threat to Velithari independence. His gaze moved to Hyunwoo. Then the human helped my mother, not because he had to, not for politics or appearances, but because he cared, because helping others is what he does. The chamber buzzed with surprise. Kalish continued. I still have concerns about dependency, about what happens if humans are not available, but I can no longer deny the value of this work. My mother lives because of it. Hundreds of others have improved because of it. We must find a way forward that addresses both the benefits and the risks. Other counselors spoke. Some supported the program enthusiastically. Others shared concerns about long-term implications. But the tone was different now. Less hostile, more thoughtful. Finally, it was Hyunwoo and Da-eun's turn. They stood in the center of the chamber, all eyes upon them. Daeun began. 6 months ago, we came to Velithar with a question. Could humans and Velithari work together to unlock healing abilities that had been dormant for millennia? Today we have an answer. Yes. Not just yes, but yes in ways we never imagined. She activated a display showing their data, graphs of healing rates, testimonials from volunteers, genetic sequences that had been activated. The evidence was overwhelming. But this is not just about data, Da-eun continued. This is about connection, about what happens when two beings from different worlds choose to see each other, to understand each other, to care for each other. Her light pattern shifted to deep gold. I was dying. My regeneration matrix was shattered. According to every medical text, I should have faded. But then this human, this stranger, chose to stay with me, day after day, hour after hour, not because he was ordered to, but because he saw me as someone worth saving. Hyunwoo took over. When I first met Da-eun, she was just another crew member, someone I passed in the corridor, someone I exchanged polite greetings with. Then she saved 2 people by throwing herself in front of danger. In that moment, she became more than a colleague. She became someone I admired, someone I wanted to help. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of counselors and observers. I did not understand the bond at first. I thought I was just doing my duty, keeping someone alive because I could. But it became more than that. It became friendship, then love, then something deeper than I have words to describe. And through that bond, healing happened. Not just physical healing, but emotional healing. Spiritual healing, Dayun continued. The counselor asked if this program should continue. I say yes, but not as it was. We have learned that proximity alone provides minor benefits. But true healing, deep healing, requires connection. It requires relationship. It requires beings who choose to see each other as people, not as research subjects. Hyunwoo spoke again. We propose expanding the program, not forcing humans and Velithari together, but creating opportunities for genuine friendship, cultural exchanges, shared projects, spaces where both species can work side by side, because the healing we have documented is not just for Velithari. It works both ways. He paused, feeling the weight of what he was about to say. I came to Velithar as an outsider, an alien. I was lonely, homesick, struggling with guilt from my past. But this world, these people, they healed me too. Not physically, but in every other way. Dayun taught me to forgive myself, to see value in connection, to understand that home is not a place. It is whoever makes you feel complete. Dayun's light patterns blazed brilliant gold. She stepped closer to Hyunwoo. The bond between us has been analyzed, measured, documented. Scientists understand the biology, but they cannot measure what it feels like. To be so connected to another being that their pain is your pain, their joy is your joy. Their presence makes you more than you were alone. She turned back to the council. You ask if this makes us dependent. I say yes, but not in a way that weakens us, in a way that strengthens us. Because true strength is not independence. It is interdependence. It is choosing to need others and letting them need you. It is building connections that make everyone better. The chamber was silent. Hundreds of Velithari watched, their light patterns shifting through complex emotions. Then Haewon, Dayun's mother, stood from her seat in the audience. I asked permission to speak. Counselor Thexnar nodded. Speak, Haewon. She moved to stand beside her daughter in Hyunwoo. I am 312 years old. I have seen much in my life. Wars, peace, progress, setbacks. But I have never seen anything like what my daughter and this human have built. When Daun told me she bonded with a human, I was horrified. I thought she was throwing her life away, making a terrible mistake. She paused, her light patterns showing the depth of her emotion. I was wrong. So completely wrong. This bond, this connection, it is the most beautiful thing I have witnessed. It saved my daughter's life. It saved mine. But more than that, it showed me that the universe is larger and more wonderful than I imagined. That connection is possible in ways I never dreamed. Minister Kalash stood as well. His mother, Jiwoo, was with him, leaning on his arm for support. She was still weak but alive, her light pattern steady. Jiwoo spoke in a soft voice that somehow carried through the chamber. I am 400 years old. I have lived long enough to see patterns in how species interact. Usually it is with suspicion, distance, walls. But these two have shown us another way, a way of openness, trust, love that crosses every boundary. She looked at her son. My son feared this work because he feared losing me, but I am still here. Weak, yes. Old, yes. But still here because a human chose to sit with me, to talk with me, to share his stories and listen to mine. That is not dependency. That is connection. And it is what we need more of in this galaxy. The counselors conferred. Light patterns flickered as they communicated in their complex visual language. Finally, Thexnar spoke. We have heard testimony from opponents and advocates. We have reviewed the data. We have witnessed the bond between these two beings. Now we must decide. The vote was not immediate. The council deliberated for hours. Hyunwoo and Dayun waited in an adjacent chamber, holding hands, trying not to let fear overwhelm them. If the council voted no, everything they had built would end. The volunteers would lose their treatment. The research would stop, and they would face an uncertain future. Finally, they were called back. The chamber was quieter now. Many observers had left, but the counselors remained, their expressions serious. Counselor Thexnar stood. We have reached a decision. The Human Velithari research program will continue, but more than continue, it will expand. We are establishing a formal cultural exchange between Earth and Velithar. We invite humans to come here not as visitors but as partners, to work with us, to learn from us, to teach us, and yes, to help heal those who need it. Relief flooded through Hyunwoo. Daeun's light patterns exploded in brilliant gold. They had won. Thexnar continued. But we also accept the concerns raised. We will research ways to make the healing effect more permanent, to reduce dependency, to ensure that Velithari who benefit from human contact do not become unable to function without it. This will be a partnership, not a crutch. He looked directly at Hyunwoo and Daeun. You two have shown us what is possible. You have proven that connection transcends species, that love is not limited by biology, that the strongest bonds are those we choose, not those we are born into. For that we thank you. The chamber erupted in light. Velithari expressing joy, approval, hope. Hyunwoo and Daeun embraced, overwhelmed with emotion. They had done it. Together. 1 year later, Hyunwoo stood in their expanded quarters at the research complex. The space was larger now, filled with mementos from 2 worlds. Earth plants grew beside Velithari light sculptures. Human books shared shelves with crystalline data cores. Photos of both their families decorated the walls. The cultural exchange program was thriving. 50 humans now lived on Velithar, each working with Velithari partners on various projects. Some focused on medicine, others on technology, art, philosophy. The healing phenomenon had been extensively documented, and researchers were making progress on treatments that could activate Velithari regeneration without requiring constant human presence. More remarkably, the effect was not limited to Velithari. Scientists had discovered similar compatibility between humans and 3 other alien species. Humans, it seemed, were catalysts. Their presence awakened dormant potential in alien biology.